Hi everyone, welcome to the Medusa Yarn and Fiber YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Nikki and I'm your host, and this is my very first inaugural FlossTube episode. So if you're a returning viewer and you were tuning in for the knitting, that's coming. I'll be filming an episode of my February knitting, hopefully later today, we'll see. But today, if you're a new viewer or a returning viewer, I'm going to be talking about cross stitch. And I have to say, I've really enjoyed getting to know all these new people on FlossTube. It's like meeting a whole new family of stitchers, even though they don't know I'm stalking them. Whatever the case, whatever kind of crafter you are, whether it's crochet, knitting, cross stitch, quilting, macrame, whatever it is that you do, thank you for tuning in, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So welcome. I will put all of my information down in the description box below. I do have a website. I am the dyer and owner of Medusa Yarn and Fiber, and all of my information, where to find me on all of the social media platforms, will be written in the description box below. So my cross-stitch story is very similar to most people's in that I did it as a teenager and maybe as like an early 20-something, and then I set it aside for quite some time. In fact, I set it aside for 25 years. And now with social media, I kind of have her to blame for getting me back into it. Her name is Rocky Mountain Penny, Rocky MTN Penny. On Instagram. I don't know, it could be a private account, I don't know, but so I won't show you too much here. But she has been posting quite a bit about a cross stitch pattern that she's doing, which is a long dog sampler, the pandemic long dog sampler, and she's doing it. If you go to the long dog sampler website, and I'll post a picture here, it's very stark with the black mono color, but she's doing it in rainbow floss. So it's quite stunning, I have to say. So really it's her fault that kind of got me interested in cross stitch again, because I was really impressed with what she was doing. And so I decided that since it had been 25 years, before I jumped right back into it, I would go to my local craft store and just buy a kit. Because back when I used to cross stitch, again, going back 25 to 30 years ago, the only option I had that I was aware of, because the internet wasn't what it is now, I think it might have already been invented, but it wasn't the way it is now, was the Mary Maxim online a phone catalog, right? You'd have to call with your phone and order from the Mary Maxim catalog. So that's what I used to do. And I might have gone to Woolco. So for those of you who are new viewers, I'm Canadian, even though I now live in Knoxville in Tennessee. But I grew up in Manitoba, and we had Woolcos. Not Walmarts. There was Walmarts by the time I left, but I grew up with Woolcos. So that goes to show just how I'm really dating myself here. So anyways, to make a long story short, my eyes were really opened up this time around to see what was probably available back then. I just didn't know about it, and I would just order my little kits from Mary Maxim, and off I would go with the Aida cloth rather than linens and things like that. But the last thing I ever cross-stitched, I don't have it, my mom has it, and she framed it, and I'm going to show you a picture of it. So this was the last thing I ever cross-stitched. Can you see that? It's this beautiful angel, and I don't remember if it was on linen or Aida. It was a kit, again, it was a kit from Mary Maxim that I got. And my mom framed it, and she's got it. So I know that the date and my initials are cross-stitched in one of the corners. So I would know for sure, but memory is telling me that it was probably 1997, maybe 1998. Because I remember cross-stitching this in a certain house I was living in, dating a certain guy. Isn't that terrible? I mean, a lot of us do it. And I mean, not date, we all date, but you know what I mean. We can remember our lives based on memories being triggered by crafts that we've done. So probably 1997. So we're going back almost 25 years. And then I put it down, and thank God I did, because a couple years after this was completed, I went to grad school. I moved from Winnipeg to Toronto and to do my master's and my PhD. And if I had still been crafting, like I put down all the crafts and I, picked up and moved with just my clothes and books, and that was about it. And if I had been crafting while doing my graduate work, I would have never finished my dissertation, right? I would have just been lost in the crafting world. So I very recently, about 3 weeks ago, watching what Penny was doing on her Instagram account, I decided I think it's time to get back into this. I really missed it. So I pulled out, pardon me, and again, back when I used to cross stitch, project bags weren't a thing. This is what we kept our cross stitch in. So thank goodness for project bags, because these are expensive. Well, so are project bags. But I mean, these are big and bulky. So anyways, I pulled out my trusty sewing basket and was looking through, and the floss was old, and some of it, my mom had given me a ton of it. The last time I saw her, I guess maybe I had thought about getting back into embroidery. I don't know. But anyways, most of it are on those little square bobbins, and they either don't have numbers on them, she didn't number them, or they sat in her sewing room and are sun bleached. Like the colors are off, you can tell. Because the house that she lived in for almost 30 years before her husband passed away was more window than wall. It was this huge, beautiful house on the lake with mostly windows. And her sewing room was just all windows, and I think the sun bleached a lot of her floss. So anyway, I decided that I would get back into it, and so I went to Joanne, the big block store, because unfortunately here in Knoxville, I don't know of any needle stores. There's some fabric stores that aren't big box companies, but I haven't been to them yet because, COVID. And I picked up just a Dimensions or Design Works kit. And I liked this one. It was the only one I liked. I don't like the kittens and the snowmen and that kind of stuff. It's just not my style. But I picked up this one, and I thought, okay, this is nice. I'm going to do this. And if I like it and I finish it and get my my stitch legs back, then I'll allow myself to maybe branch out into something like the angel again. Well, you can imagine, let's all laugh at naive Nikki thinking that she was only going to have one project on the go at any given time. I started this one up. It was on 14 count Aida. Okay. Sorry, one of my YouTube. I'm binging Elizabeth Can Stitch, her YouTube channel. I really like her. Anyways, I don't even know which way's up anymore because it's been about 3 weeks since I worked on it. And of course, I love working on Aida, but this is 14 count, so it's a little too big for me. And the coverage just isn't happening. And once I got my cross-stitch sea legs back on, I was off down the rabbit hole. And so I started watching FlossTubers, and I watched I think it's a 5 or 6 part mini-series by Teresa Little Stitcher, where she completely introduces everything. For beginners again, and man, I'm glad I watched that, because even though I'm not a beginner, it's been 25 years, and man, a lot has changed. So she introduced me to Heaven and Earth Designs. So I went from having not stitched for 25 years to starting one of these kits that to be honest, I'm going to finish it to honor its place in getting me back into cross-stitching, but I'm not enjoying it. So she got me into Heaven and Earth Designs, or introduced me to Heaven and Earth Designs, And then the rabbit hole has started. Sorry, I thought I was so organized, but clearly I'm not. So I decided to start with a mini, full coverage, heaven and earth design. And I went with the mini moonlighting by Marjorie Sarnat. Isn't that the cutest little thing? I liked it because it looks like a piece of artwork to me. And it's lots of contrast colors. And I think for my first all over design, that's a good thing. And plus it's for my daughter and she'll love it. A lot of what I'm doing in terms of getting back into cross stitch is to create some heirlooms for her. Because she's only 4.5. I'm an old mom. She's only 4.5. She's going to be 5 in a couple of weeks. And she's already like artsy craftsy. She wants to learn how to cross stitch. In fact, I have a video of her cross stitching with a teeny tiny pin on 18 count Aida. And she's doing a terrible job. But oh my God, she can maneuver the needle through the Aida already. I mean, it's amazing. So I started with that. And I decided to order some fabric for it, and I ordered the Lugana 25 count easy guide. It's the one with the grids that you can get rid of, and I've got a bit of a start, and I'm doing the parking method that Teresa Little Stitcher does, and I'm getting there. I try to do about 100 stitches a day, which is 1 square, and I'm doing 1/1 on 25 count. So I just went straight to it, let me tell you. And yes, that's chocolate. Of course it's chocolate. I haven't washed it out yet. Now, the fabric I got from Nerdy by Design Cross Stitch Supplies, Jennifer Messmer on Etsy. There's her, sorry, my lighting is not great. There we go. Nerdy by Design, it's an Etsy shop. I just basically, not really knowing what I was doing because I had only ever cross-stitched on Aida. Just kind of poked around, saw one that had the size I needed. I got a fat quarter, 18 by 25.7. And it just shocks me that that's a mini, size for a mini. And it was very prompt, very affordable. I think she delivered it within 3 or 4 days. But I have a question, floss tubers. She also sent me this. Can somebody please tell me what this is? Is this like a floss minder? What is it? I have no idea. So please comment down below and tell me what the heck this is. So thank you, Jennifer Messmer, for being a very prompt, affordable business. So I'm very excited. This is going to be a long haul. It's going to be a year-long project. I'm hoping to have it finished for when she turns 6. So next March. And the reason why I'm going to give myself a full year to do it is because it's pretty intense. I've never done this kind of cross stitch before. And I have to take a break, especially since it's 1/1. But I quite like the coverage that I'm getting. I still need to fill in a couple of spots. And let me tell you, I learned the hard way, well, not so hard, that when you're doing a full coverage, heaven and earth design, to only go a square at a time. At one point I started to jump around and I had a long thread and I wanted to use up the thread rather than parking it, and so I was jumping into other squares, nearby squares. That ended up being a nightmare. So from now on, 1 square at a time. I am absolutely not allowing myself to do something like what I did here, where I did a stitch in another square. So once I get all that caught up, I'm just going 1 square at a time. It's just so much more manageable that way. And then that way I can also track how many stitches I do on it every day. Because if I do 100 stitches a day, I should be able to finish in a year. So once I got started on the heaven and earth designs, I went down the FlossTube hole and I was introduced to something I didn't know anything about, which are samplers. I started watching Nicola Parkman on Hands Across the Sea samplers, and was utterly charmed. It's not usually something I would do, is that kind of a cross stitch. But I was so utterly charmed by the fact that these were stitched by 8-9-year-old girls 200 years ago or 150 years ago, and I get to recreate it. So the one I'm working on right now, the Martha Horsburgh. This is going to be a heavily edited video from 1866. And I absolutely love it. It's so cute. And I wanted something very small for my first sampler. And this is what I have done so far, is just the line of the border. And now I'm starting with the little strawberries. And let's take a close look at this Aida. It's on 18 count Aida. And let's see what those little holes are. Anybody? What do you think this is? Tick, tick. Tick, tick. Tell me what you think it is in the comments below. I think you can figure it out. This is not a hole. This is a little piece of black thread that I put in to mark where I started, because I can get very easily disoriented, obviously. Yeah, you tell me what you think that is. He's lucky to still be alive, is all I'm saying. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spot. He's lucky to still be alive, is all I'm saying. So I bought this from Nicola Parkman, Hands Across the Sea samplers, and I adore it. It's very addicting. It's so cute, and I don't know, I just think about this little girl who may or may not have been an orphan. Some of them are orphans, some of them aren't, and just thinking about her life and how young and accomplished these little girls were. Because when I was 8 or 7, I wasn't doing any needlework, that's for sure. And his designs, Jacob Lagraff's designs. So my next two are from him. And the first one is a Swedish Valkommen, and I'll put a picture of it here. And the reason why I chose this one is because I'm Swedish. My mom is Swedish. I'm half Swedish, and I grew up, my mom's a cross stitcher, and I grew up with a lot of Swedish paraphernalia around the house, including in my mormor's house, a lot of cross stitch. Even though she herself, my mormor, was not a cross stitcher, she was an embroiderer, a knitter and a crocheter. I think she was a quilter too, but she never, I don't have any memory of her doing any cross stitch. But she had a lot of cross stitch things in her house that had Swedish sayings or Valkommen, pardon me. And so it means a lot to me. So I'm going to stitch this one as a gift to my mom. And I'm doing this on 32 count cashel or Belfast linen. I'll correct it here. I've been locked out of my app, so I'll have to figure that out. But it's linen, and I'm doing 2/2 on this one. And I'm going to have enough fabric, I think, to make more than one, because I want one for myself, but I also would like to give one to my mom, because she doesn't stitch that much anymore, although I think I might be inspiring her to get back into it. But her eyes, it's all about magnification and light, as Nicola Parkman says. But I'm going to give her this, and I think it's a safe bet she's not going to watch this, so I don't mind. And if Mom, Dagmar, if you're watching, you got a gift coming your way. Surprise! And it's on the natural linen. It's a Weikart? No, the Z one. The one that starts with the Z. Zweigart, that one. Linen. Yeah, 32 count, 2/2. Love it. And this is my first time cross-stitching monochrome, like just one color. And I have to say I like it because it's faster. You don't have to stop and fiddle around with the strings or the threads. So not much of a start there, but I do like it, and I don't think it'll take very long. Now, when I was poking around on Jacob Lagraff's site, I saw his stitch along for 2021, and I decided I was going to jump on board. I'm going with the stitches. Oh, and in terms of like floss colors, I'll put that below because I don't have the tags with me right now, and so I'm not going to bore you with the numbers, but I will put them below in case you're interested. Now I'll put a picture of the stitch along here, and I just fell in love with this one. I don't know what it is. I just really, really liked it, and so I decided I would join in 6 weeks late, but that's okay. And this is all I have so far, and look at that very fine stitching. Now this is 28 count, either Belfast or cashel. I don't know the linens well enough yet to know which is which. I think it's Belfast or cashel in the white. And I'm doing, it's the two-tone blues, and I'm doing it in the colors he's picked. And I'm doing this 1/1. So it's some pretty fine stitching, I have to say. But let me tell you guys, there's some game changers out there. I picked up a pair of these Mageyes. I saw Teresa Little Stitcher advertising them, and I ordered them on Amazon, and let me tell you, they are amazing. Amazing. For this one, I have to put in the number 4 lens. They come with 2 lenses, and you can pick. I got the number 2 and number 4. And for just about everything, I can do it with the number 2 lens. But for this one, I use the number 4, so it magnifies it 4 times. Look at that. I look like such a weirdo, but game changer. I can't have a magnifier in front of me attached to a lamp. I have one of the lamp magnifier duos that I use for making jewelry. That's fine, but because of the way that we pull our thread, I've got to be the magnifier. This is perfect, is what I'm saying, because I can also still wear my regular glasses, or I can wear my readers, whatever it is I need. And you can see I'm sorry, I'm so immature. But my husband always laughs because whenever he sees me wearing them, he thinks I'm wearing like headgear, that I'm some like teenager wearing headgear. But he's tried them, and he's going to order himself some because he does painting. Now, a quick side note, this thing down here that you see, that's a painting of his that I just got framed, and this is one he's working on right now. He's an amateur artist. He's not he's a musician by trade, so he's naturally very artsy, but this is the one he's working on right now, which is a view of the city of Jerusalem, because a year ago yesterday on Valentine's Day we went to Israel, and when we got back, like a couple days after we got back, we had the shutdown. So that trip has been really, really unprocessed for us because we had to deal with the pandemic and our new way of living for the last year. So he was feeling inspired, and he's starting to paint from a picture of a view of the city of Jerusalem. And you can see right here is the Dome of the Rock, the mosque there. But he also, my little nerdy husband, he also paints figurines for games. And he does some pretty amazing fine work. And so he's going to get himself a pair of these. He tried them on, and he couldn't believe the difference it made. So yeah, game changer, let me tell you. Now that I have these Mageyes, I can like entertain 1/1 on higher count, finer fabric. So really enjoy. This is a 2-tone, and I do really enjoy working with 2 colors as well. But this is a little bit more exhausting. Like it though, love it. Another game changer that I'm so excited about is that we no longer need to use bobbins. I cannot stand wrapping the thread around those things, and then every time I need a new thread, I have to unwrap and pull it apart and all that kind of stuff. So I had no idea that there was now these thread keepers, and they could have been around 25 years ago and I just didn't know about them. That's absolutely possible. But I've created my own system just by looking at what other people have done, of keeping them on these rings and tagging them with little bales that I picked up, jewelry bales. And oh my goodness, I had no idea that you could leave it like this, take a pin and pull out just one thread. My mind was blown. No longer will I ever again have to use a bobbin, those square plastic bobbins. So I'm slowly creating my own system using, because I've got so many jewelry making supplies and this and that. Like, I just grabbed a bunch of rings that I had for making jewelry and attached some bales to them with the sticker and with the number, and away we go. And I just have them organized by color rather than number. I'm so excited. Yeah. So that's about it. And oh, and these cute little needle minders. Right? Magnetic ones that stick on your, I mean, all this stuff surely has been around forever. I just didn't know about it until this time around. So I'm very, very excited to be back into the stitching mojo. So yeah, I've got 5 works in progress within like just a few weeks of starting up stitching again. So thank you, Penny. Thank you very much for introducing me down this rabbit hole. And I've got my eye on a Verlande sampler that I can't think, it's a German company right now, Dorothy something or other. And I can't think of her name or the name of the sampler or anything like that, but I'm sure that for my next video, I will have started it. And what I love too is that it's all instant gratification. The minute I click purchase, I've got the PDF in my mailbox and I can start it right away. Oh, yeah, things have changed. It's going to be a really, really deep rabbit hole, I think. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I feel so excited about all of the new personalities and people that I already feel, even though they have no idea who I am, I've been watching their YouTube and I already feel like they're good friends, like-minded, kindred spirits. And I went through that with knitting because I'm a knitter and a dyer. And now that I get to do it again with a whole new group of people, but a different craft, is really, really rewarding. I'm really enjoying it. And I look forward to watching more floss tubes and getting to know more people and hopefully meeting more people in person once things start to change with this pandemic. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out more of my videos if you're interested in knitting, spinning, dyeing yarn, or cross stitching. Have a good day.